Salam.
Waalaikumsalam.
Can we turn on the camera first? Okay. All right. How many? 14, 12. All right. How are you all?
Fine. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, Doctor.
Okay. All right. Now, all right. Today, we will be talking about innovation in general. What are the, just want to share with you and to highlight something about being innovative, being creative, and being critical. So those are the characteristics or requirement before we can say like we can become an innovator. So like as we always see these things, it is not a fortnight or jobs that you wake up in the morning is completely somebody different. You can innovate, you can invent something. So this is a long process, right? If we can recall what we have said in the earlier meeting, the first meeting, we have to have specific characteristics before we can have this kind of idea, and before we have this kind of attitudes, before we can have this kind of understanding, before we can have this approach, thinking, everything, right? So we have to develop that. We have to learn how to have that. And as we said, at this moment, maybe what we can do is try to learn something about innovation and how, going through the process so that we can understand. And of course, our main focus here is to understand what is innovation in relation to invention, creativity, everything, so that we can look down to our next generation. All right, our next generation. That is the most important part. Because what we want to have in future, like our generation, so once we have gone through this process, then we can have the understanding so that we can transfer the understanding in developing a new generation so that they can, accumulatively learn how to become an innovator, at least as a creative person. Okay, so to structure the lesson today, I'm going to talk about the basic principles, right? Basic principles of thinking, basic principles of attitudes. Why we need to have this, and in order to become an innovator. So otherwise, like what we have seen now, especially in the not in developed countries, in developing countries like us, we always been considered as a good user, right? A good user. So the developed country, they invent something, they come out with something, they produce something, and then they sell the things. And so at this moment, so we just say user. So you use the user that using the stuff or the product from developed countries. So what we expect from this understanding is to turn the other way around, not to say they becoming a user, but we at least learn something from it and then becoming the producer as well, instead of a user only. So that's the idea. So then we can develop our next generation, And so then once we have this kind of these types of generation, then slowly the country will have moving to the right direction. Okay. All right. Let me share with you some stories about. All right. You can turn off your camera if you think that the I mean, by turning on the camera requires a lot of data, the internet data. So then at the end, maybe you can turn it on back, right? So some parts I have shared this one, right? But I just want to highlight something, right? Yeah, I have shared this one. You can read this. I mean, it's not that difficult to understand. Some differences between invention and innovation, invention and innovation. Why these are considered as different, right? Different. So if we think about what is being produced, then we can say invention and innovation is the same thing. But if we look for the purpose, then we can see the differences. Okay. Both of these concepts, invention and innovation, they try to come out with something new, right? Something new, anything that can be considered as new. I mean, for the user. But if we want to differentiate this one, right? If we want to differentiate this one, and let me go on to this one. All right, now look at number 4, right? Number 4. If we look at this one between invention and innovation, so what we can say, the invention may be for non-economic or economic motive. So that's what we want to see. And whereas the innovation is usually for economic motive. And then you look at number 2, may not be commercialized, right? Results into commercialization. So these are the different parts that we can see to differentiate between these two. The invention, normally, they don't really consider about commercializing what product, I mean, what the invention that they have come out with. But innovation normally have the intention of economic. They want to sell it. They want to, I mean, after the production, they want to sell it, and then something like win-win situation, right? You can get the product, but of course you have to buy. Right? You have to buy. But in invention, they don't consider about commercializing the product or the idea, but more to at the beginning, the invention is more to like, improving the practices, right? Improving practices, improving our products, and so that we can simplify and then make things easier. So more to individualize the perspective, right? So we come up with something new, the practices, the approach, the strategies, the product. You put something here, something there, and then you can see then by doing it, it can simplify our daily activities. So that is the difference between these two. I will share with you the video about the innovation, right? The invention and innovation. So then you can see the differences, okay? I forgot to upload the video to the e-learning, but after the class, I will upload that, and then you can see the differences, and then watch the movie, and then try to differentiate between how and why the the invention can be categorized as invention, and at the same time can also be categorized as innovation, right? So I give you some tasks, so that you can explore and try to differentiate between these two. Okay, before we move on, any question? Any question? All right.
Clear. Betul.
Okay. So together with us is Dr. Hasniza. Yeah. She will be with us until the end, and then in the next class, she will be with you discussing about uh, some parts of instructional design. Instructional design. Now is considering about innovation in the perspective of learning and teaching, right? Learning and teaching. So at this moment, we just want to concentrate on that perspective, yeah? Learning and teaching, right? Because when we talk about producing something new, inventing something new, it's a huge perspective, right? But now we're just focusing on the learning and teaching. So again, this table as continuation of this one. You can see, like, number 8, invention, innovation, subtract commercial exploitation. But innovation, invention plus commercial exploitation. So you see, look at this one, how it comes out, and then how it connected. May bring few changes in organizations, but this one brings organizational change, right? This one may bring, but innovation, the expectation is very simple. By having this kind of innovation, then we can have the changes in the organization or in the practices, our daily practices. And then invention precedes innovation, but innovation succeeds, follows the invention. So something like, invention followed by innovation. So those are, how you can connect these two in order to understand the differences between the invention and innovation. And then look at the components of innovation, right? The component innovation. I'm not concerned about differentiating these two, but what we want to understand is this is how we can consider this into our course, learning about innovation in learning and teaching. And then the components of innovation, the hardware component consisting of material or physical aspects of innovation, the software component consisting of information base that is needed to use the innovation, and then evaluation information components that is useful for decisions related to the adoption of the innovation. So if you look at this one, then you can see, right? Types of innovation. See, you can see here. When we talk about innovation, it could be product, it could be services, it could be process, right? So if you look at the innovation, now if we, I read one article from scholars from Japan, and he said that the world is done, right? The world is done because no more new things, no more new things. So from that writing, I think he has the point by saying the world is done. Everything is here. No more new things. So meaning the world is done. So just waiting for the world to perish or whatever. But what he said is the world is done. The world needs nothing. Everything is here, right? All the products, the services. Now, I think he has the point. If you look at our daily practices, our world now, right? What can be said as new? Look at in our environment, our life. What can be said as new? Anyone?
COVID-19.
COVID-19. All right, COVID-19 is new, but when you talk about virus, right? It is a virus. Previously, we have a virus. See, there's nothing new. Only the types of virus is different, right? So this is the one. So what else? Smartphone?
5G.
5G? Okay, what's the differences between 5G and 4G?
I think it's about the
The
speed.
speed. See,
Yeah.
this is the same thing. It's just a matter of improving, right? From slow speed to higher speed. But still, it is about the speed. It didn't say anything about other than speed. Even the smartphone. Now you can read, you can communicate, you can video through smartphone. But still, if we look at the purpose of the phone, it is a phone. Regardless of how technology you put in, it is a phone. It's a phone, a communication, to communicate. Talking about communication, okay? Like those, like that Japanese writer, he says, it's nothing new. It's only improvement, right? Improvement from one level to the other. So by having said this kind of improvement, then we still can improve in innovation. If we consider innovation as something like totally new, right? Totally new, never been seen before, it's really hard, right? It's really hard. Normally, like, people like Graham Bell, like, what's that? Awal, Bala, Awal. Right, you
Yes, sir.
turn off your mic. What happened to your mic? I think it has a noisy sound. Maybe the connection. Okay, you can turn off the. You can mute the speaker first, right? You can mute the speaker first. All right. Now that's why if we look at to this perspective, then what we can do here is talking about the improvement. Okay, what we have, like, in our previous classes, we guide the students, we guide the groups to come up with some sort of idea. Our concern is not on the product, right? Not on the product, because like I said, what we want to know, what we want the students to learn is the process, right? The process of innovation, step by step, this step, next step, and so on. By understanding, by going through the process, at least they can learn something about innovation, how to become an innovator. Okay, I have to have this kind of characteristic. So in order to have that into my generation, so I need to teach them, I need to train them, I need to educate them into that direction. Okay, that's what we expect from this course. Yeah? If you look at to the course information, then you can see, right? It's not really the product as the main objective of the course, but the product itself is just an evidence to show that we have gone through the whole process of developing the product. Okay, and then again, like I said, it can be considered in the several perspectives, like a product, like a service, services, like even like a process, right? So we try to consider these types of innovation by looking at the improvement, right? Improvement. So then we can create something, or we can come up with something. All right, now, if we look at the number 3, incremental and radical innovation. So, incremental innovation is something like gradually, right? But radical innovation is something like extreme, right? That I mean, maybe because of the requirement, right? Because of the requirement, like now COVID-19, right? COVID-19, we really need to consider this one, right? Radical innovation, how we can tackle the virus, right? Because it now people are not scaring about the virus can be infected, how the contagious of the virus, but Now people concentrating how to control this virus, how to deal with this virus. So that's why we need a radical approach, and so that we can tackle or we can control the virus as soon as possible, right? Otherwise, we will people in the world will be suffering, right, dealing with this. Although the hospital can deal with this problem by treating the patients in the hospital, and then they can recover. But what now the concentration is not in treating the patients, right? What people are now really looking forward is how to treat the virus. I mean, the virus is so easily to spread. They're very contagious. So this is what we want to focus, right? It really requires a radical approach of innovation. How we can come out with this? Sometimes, you work regardless of hours, days, and to come up with these findings. How we can control the virus from spreading, right? Treating patient is fine because that is the nature of the hospital, treating and promoting healthy life, right? But um, controlling the virus from spreading so easily like that, it requires someone else, right? The researcher, so that they can come in and then try to come out with how to control that, like the previous viruses, right? The virus that can be controlled, right? Now we have to, at this moment, I think the main process is to learn about the virus itself, the nature, the life, and then the tendencies of the virus. It's really interesting, really, yeah, because by understanding the nature of the virus, then we can consider about the alternative, right? How to control this one. So it requires somebody that really have the characteristics. Otherwise, like for example, sleepless, right? Less sleep because we're busy concentrating, come out with, try to find ways, try to learn about the virus, try to learn about the nature of the virus. You require somebody that really, I mean, willing to spend time. There's some characteristic. If you're willing to spend time, you consider, you sacrifice your sleeping, your rest time, everything, because you want to concentrate, you want to learn, you want to manage the virus, you're willing to sacrifice everything. That is the basic requirement. If we don't have that, we can't expect to become an innovator, right? That is some characteristics and simple characteristics. And then how strong will that the person have, like Graham Bell, right? Graham Bell, they spent entire life before he can come out with like a telephone, the communication. He spent his life. Are we willing to spend that? So that is the question that we need to address, right? If we want to have this kind of generation, then slowly we have to train our next generation into that direction. Like the requirement, the basic requirement, somebody that is really hardworking, somebody that really have the insight, the highly critical person, highly analytical person, creative person. So these are the basic requirements that we need to have before the generation can becoming an innovative generation. Okay. Any question? All right, now look at this one. Yeah, this process. If you look at this diagram, now you can see how the process, right? The needs problem, research, development, commercialization, diffusion, and adoption consequences. So those are the processes, right? The processes at least, right? At least in a proper manner. Why we should have this? Because, like for example, in the scientific studies and scientific approach, it requires some process, a clear process that can be repeated. Right? Can be repeated. People can learn from it. In fact, by having these steps, make it easier for the person or for the organization to check or to counter check or to double check what is really happening, what went wrong in the process. Okay, say for example at the beginning they try to come up with A, right? With A, and then you go through the process, everything, and then finally come out with B, away from the A. So then you can check back step by step, one by one. Okay, need problems. Okay, done. Research. Okay, done. Development. Oh, yeah. Now I can see at the developmental stage, oh, we should have this instead, but we come up with this. So then we really need to this one. But sometimes, like I said, in the producing characteristics, in developing the characteristics of the innovation or the innovator perspective. So you need to be able to move forward and backwards, like this one. Although the arrow is like this, like a linear arrow, yeah, just one way direction, needs problems and so on until the end. But we need to be able as well to look back in the backward direction, right? From here back to commercialization, back to the developmental stage, back to the research activities, and then back to the needs problems. Because you know why? Because the world is dynamic. Yeah, the world is dynamic. The moment we come out with the what was that, the product, maybe the world no longer require that product. Maybe because of the process, it take a longer process to get here. Then the moment you get here, you produce the product. The world does not need this product anymore. Look at the computer, for example. Now we're talking about what is the processor now? i7? Is it i7? Intel i7? Is it i7? Yeah, processor, huh? I bought this computer. My computer is i5, right? To me, i5 is already fast, right? It's a new version. The moment when I bought this one, i5 is the highest, right? The high end. But now, the moment you bought that, 1 year later, i5 is nothing. Now people talking about i7, maybe i9. So I don't know how now later, because what they require is, like for example, in computing, what they need is the speed, right? The speed. Just now you said 5G, 4G. Why we need the speed? Because we want to match the speed of the mind, right? The speed of the mind in terms of communication. So why we need to have that? Because we can't afford to have like a slow speed computer, slow speed communication, because we can't wait. Like when you want to open this slide, for example, yeah, innovation process, you want to open this to show this slide to the class, and then it takes what, 1 minute to come out. Imagine the people 1 minute, and then you check another slide, another 1 minute. So 1 hour becomes one day, right? It seems like one day. So we don't want that, because from that problem, from that issues, we try to come out, we try to invent something that can improve the speed of the computer, the speed of the communication, right? So that's what we expect. I mean, that's why the innovation and invention is just like a cycle. Although it's a linear processes in producing one types of product, but it is really a linear process. You come back to needs problem, come back again, non-stop activity and non-stop activity. Maybe one day. Sorry. Yes.
Okay, so is there nothing wrong if we are jump to another process because sometimes somebody sometimes someone say that we have need to follow the process sequentially. For me, for example, normally when I do some innovation product, I had problems, so I jump to the development. So I do, and then at the same time I do research, and then I think come up with what's right or wrong, and then the second one is continuous. So that means it's nothing wrong if we are not follow the sequentially process in sequentially.
Okay, good question. That's why I said we have to have somebody that really versatile, can think backward, forward, in doing things. And then if I can say, sometimes, we rush into the conclusion. Sometimes we tend to rushing to a conclusion, rushing to the product. We want to produce something as fast as possible. And then by having the product in the market earlier, then we can sell it faster. So sometimes we dealing with this kind of intention. So there's nothing wrong about the process, but what we can say, anywhere we do, anywhere we go, it still need to do this process, right? The needs problems, and then do some research about this, and then the developmental process. I mean, the sequence is still there, but sometimes you put research and development at the same steps, at the same level. But why we do that, we need to consider. That is the most important. Not to say that, okay, we do research and development at the same time and simultaneously. But in fact, what we need to do is we need to understand. We have to justify why we need to make it parallel. We make it like a simultaneous activity. So the person or the developer should understand that, okay? Rather than, you just follow as you think that this, something like without planning, right? Without planning. What we don't want to spend is, after you spend so much time on this sequence, finally we come out with the product that we don't expect at the beginning. So that is the idea why we need to have this. Like I said, the example, the Graham Bell, or even who was the aeroplane? Wilbur Wright brothers, Wilbur Wright brothers. So again, they do some research, like for example, developmental process. Okay, they try the aeroplane, the wing, and what was that? The controller behind the wing. I'm not really familiar with the names. What is the controller? The flap, like flapping up and down. So they learn from this, and then at the same time they also look around, look from the nature. They look the birds. The birds, how the birds fly. They want to fly. They will start flying and then try to landing. They learn from that. This is what we mean by research. Look around and then they try to develop again. That's why when you talk about R&D, research and design, right? Research and design. Normally, research and design, converge into these steps, right? Research and design. So it's coming out to this stage. So that's why people, sometimes the company, reluctantly to spend some, in research and design. So that's why the big company like Volvo, the car Volvo, Volvo, the car is considered. Some people consider the car as a tank on the road. The tank on the road. Why they categorize the car as a tank? Tank? The tank, right? You know why? Because Volvo have conducted a lot of research and design, like crash design, right? Crash research. They did a lot of crash experiments, crash experiment, the real car experiment. then they can learn how to strengthen the structure of the body, the structure of this, everything, because of spending lots of money and time in doing the crashing experiment. And at one stage, you know, Volvo car is very strong, right, as compared to other car. You smash the car, you smash Volvo, you will rip your car. You, that's the idea. But some company they reluctantly to spend, especially developing countries like us. We just want to come out with the product. As long the product can be used, okay, it's fine. All right. This is what we mean. So back to your question again. If you want to have like backward, forward thinking, you really require somebody that really versatile, have the characteristics of thinking ability, highly critical, everything. Otherwise, you can't have that. Okay, so that's why in order to train the next generation, we have to have that first, and then we can transfer the skills and the understanding to the next generation. Like, for example, I'll give you a simple example, right? Training the small children about critical thinking, right? Critical thinking. You know, like one example. When you train colors is considered as the hardest parts of learning among children, because you know colors is hard. Why you say hard? If you look at red, how many reds can we say? How many reds can we get? It's still red, but red is this light red, this is pink, and so on. And this is maroon, close to red. So that's why when we want to train the critical thinking among children, like for example, we ask them, okay, what color is this? What color is this? And then you ask the children, the small child, what color is this? Normally, the response will be converged into two. The first one, if the children answering right, like, oh, the color is red, and then the color is red. Eventually, the color is red, and then one response is, we tend to respond like, wow, excellent. Well, now you know the red color. That's one response. Another response that we can consider. So if we ask them, what color is this? Of course, you say red because the color is red. But you don't respond like that. You don't respond like the first one, but you respond in the second way. Are you sure that is red? I think the color is blue. What makes you think the color is red? So that is the process how we train the children to think, right? Although the color is of course is red, but we challenge them. Are you sure it's red? It looks blue to me. What makes you think the color is red? Can you tell me? Something like that. By challenging the mind, you imagine from step to step, steps to step, slowly they learn to use the mind. They learn to use the brain. Rather than you respond the first way, excellent. You really didn't stimulate the mind. But if you ask, you respond in the second way, you really challenge the mind. This is quite interesting, right? If we can do this slowly, I think they can grow up becoming a very critical and analytical person, right? So that's one very basic example in training the children how to think critically, analytically, creatively. So because in order to think critically, analytically, creatively, we need to train the mind, right? Always train the mind. Make the brain work. That's what we normally, needs to do. One kind of example, like bedtime story. Have you heard about bedtime story? Bedtime story. Anyone? Anyone that experiencing this before? Bedtime story?
No.
No. All right. Now, bedtime story. Let me share with you. The bedtime story. You know, the bedtime story is a very short story. Short story, light, and normally about children. So we read stories to them before they go to bed. Like it depends on your practices, right? If you're a Muslim, you're Buddhist, if you're Hindus, or you Christians, it depends on your practices, right? Your belief. But if we like, I just want to give you an example why we need to consider this seriously. Actually, I'm now working on the writing a book about bedtime story. Hopefully, they can come out by next year. Yeah, bedtime story, a series of bedtime stories that can be used for the kids. Yeah, hopefully, pray for me. Hopefully, by next year it can be done. And bedtime story, you know, it is really related to the mind, the brain. The brain does not really sleep, right? Completely. The brain still active, while although we were sleeping, but the brain still active, right? And still alive. That's why, you know, sometimes we have dreams, these dreams, that dreams, to show that the brain does not sleep completely, right? Does not switch off completely. So still working, but now taking that into consideration before they fall asleep, and before they fall asleep, we stimulate the mind with the story. Tell a story to the children, right? To the child while they, you know, prior to sleeping. So we tell a story that really stimulate the mind. Don't just tell a story, but you put some sort of question marks in the story. All right, question mark in the story. Okay, what do you think about the something like asking question? So actually, you stimulate the mind from, you know, keep on active. So once they fall asleep, the brain is still working actually, right? With the last story or last moment that we expose to them, right? So that is the bedtime story. Now, slowly, you stimulate the mind, you stimulate the brain to keep working, right? So then slowly we can have the kind of generation. Okay, so maybe we can consider that, and hopefully we really can have that. I mean, how critical we are now. Like for example, if we stuck in the jam, right? We're stuck in the jam. What will we do when you're stuck in the jam? Okay, anyone can respond? The stuck in the jam. What will you do?
Listen
Anyone
to
would like to respond? If you're stuck in the jam,
Sing
what will
along
you
the
do?
song.
Sorry,
Sing along the song. They have the
sing a song.
radio.
Okay, enjoy the traffic. Yeah,
Yeah,
enjoy the jam, traffic jam. Okay, well,
jumping, complaining to distract the jam.
okay, come on. I'm
Turn
sure.
turn on turn on the wave. Find new route.
Turn on the waves, find new routes. Okay. What else? I'm sure all of you have experienced this one. You're stuck in the jam. What will you do? Listen to the song or sing the song with you and find ways, you know, uh, yeah, find the through the ways. Yeah. Okay. What else? Okay. While considering that, while recalling that, maybe you can check from time to time. You know Waze, right? Waze, the GPS. If you look at this, the history of Waze, Waze, because you know this guy, we really admire him. Yeah, he come out with the idea of GPS. You know why? Because he experiencing trouble, right? Problems in getting to the address many times. Trying to get the address and he's circling around hardly to find the place. Although he was using a Google Maps, everything, and then it's still confusing. And in some parts, you know, like in the jam, he found that if we can know the jam, the traffic in advance, maybe we can avoid this one. So from that problems and then from that insight, he tried to come up with some sort of solution, which is waste. The waste came out from the actual experiences of the person. And then he came out with this kind of thing, using all the devices that already have in the market, like a satellite, like a communication connection, internet connection, everything, map, Google Maps, everything. They make use everything and come up with waste. Now, like you said, you turn on the waste and then try to find another route so you can avoid the traffic. So that is the actual experiences of the person. See, it's quite interesting. But before we can reach to that stage, we actually need to have the characteristics, right? If we don't have the characteristic, like you said, just enjoy the traffic jam. What else can we do? Just enjoy it, hoping that the traffic, the jam will be slowly finished. That's what we expect. Or if we think this in the more proactive manner, then we consider different thing, right? The different approach, like coming early, not to come so late, so that we can avoid the traffic. Because if we go early, we come out early, we can avoid the traffic and we don't stuck in the jam. If we come out late, so this is what we mean by proactive thinking. Okay, so I just want to highlight you a few things about the requirement before we can consider of becoming an innovator. All right. Otherwise, sometimes we think that this innovative thinking can be molded fortnightly. Wake up in the morning, oh, I'm already an innovator. It won't work that way. Right? It has to be like a gradual development from beginning. So hopefully then we can consider our next generation by understanding this. If we can't cannot be an innovator because of the age, then we should consider our next generation, right? Hopefully they can become an innovator. Any question? Any question? No. Now we can look back to ourselves, whether we have the characteristics or not. All right, whether we have the characteristic or not. That's what we need. Sometimes people are so creative, so creative. Like illegal road racing. They say that they're so creative. They take off this, take off that, take off this, take off that. That is considered as part of creativity, but creativity not for the good purposes. So normally, when we talk about invention, innovation, we talk about improvement, right? Improvement. That's what we expect, not to go backwards, right? Like like racing, the illegal road racing. You take off the brakes, take off the lights, you take off many things, and so that you can make the motorcycle faster. Of course, the creativity, invention characteristic is there, but that is not what we mean by invention and innovation, because invention and innovation is more betterment, right? Betterment, from better to best, right? To best, so something like that. Okay, if we, I also have shared this one in your e-learning, the creative thinkers. So try to read through this one, right? What are the characteristics, right? This like positivity, playfulness, resistance, these kind of characteristics. Do we really have this, right? Again, I also have shared with you the developing critical thinkers. Again, try to look through this one, and you will see that what are the characteristics that we should have before we can consider of becoming an inventor or an innovative person. Okay. So consider that, and then we will also uploading the product design, and then the instructional design. Try to look at this one, yeah. And in the next meeting, we will start. I'm not going to explore this one, the creative thinkers, developing thinkers, and then thinking processes. So what I want you to do is read through that one, try to understand what are the requirements of this kind of person. And then for the next meeting, start working on the instructional design, right? Instructional design, okay? And Dr. Hasniza will be with you, the instructional design. So this is really closely related to the project that you have to engage in. Okay? So we will discuss about the design. So what needs to be done here, what needs to be done here. So what you have to expect at this stage, right? So that is the design. And then the model, the ADDIE model. So actually you can find different kinds of models design in the instruction. Right, so, and I also have set the platform to for the assignments, yeah, the problem identification. I'll change the words here, yeah. This is problem identification uploaded, and then this one, so technical report 1. I also set the platform for this one, technical report 1, so that you can start working on your project and to discuss. This is a group project. It's a group project. After this, I want you to set up a meeting, online meeting like this. Set up. Anyone can take charge. Anyone can take charge. Set up the meeting, the WebEx meeting, online meeting like this, and to discuss about the group, forming a group. I would suggest that we set the group to 2 persons. Right? 2 persons, consists of 2 persons, and not too many, just 2, and then you can discuss. The first thing you need to do, you set up the meeting like this, after this, and then set up the group, consists of 2 persons, and then after that you can start considering about what you want to do, right? Just consider that briefly, okay? What you want to do, and then you can start discussing, and then we will discuss that, we will guide that, how you can go about. Okay, can you do that? Set up the meeting afterwards, after this, and then form a group, consists of 2 persons, and then start. Once you have the group, you start discussing amongst your group, and about what you want to do for this project. Okay, whether you want to the product, the physical product, or either one you want to come up with the systems, either you want to come up with the process. It's up to you. And previously, my students come up with many things, not just the product, the physical product. They come up with the process, the process of management, classroom management. So we come out with the process. So the structure, you come out with the structure, this. Because why they come up with this structure? Because that classroom has a difficulties in managing the classroom. So by come up with that idea, it helps the classroom to organize, right? To organize. So that's the idea of producing. Not to say that only the physical product or the systems or the software, but anything can be done. Remember the words like a product, a physical product, a system, software, even the processes, right? The processes, the system, the structure, the teaching approach, anything can be used as long it falls into the expectation of innovation. Okay. All right then, and I think that's all for today. And you can start forming your group after this and start discussing. Yeah, hopefully by next week you can share the idea in the session in the class, and so that we can work towards it by looking at the design, instructional design, what needs to be done, everything, right? So we will guide you next meeting, but first you have to make sure that you already have the group and you have considered about what project that you want to do for these courses. Okay. All right. Thank you. And anything else before we stop the class? Anything else?
Doctor,
I think there is one new student.
New student. Okay. Yeah. I see that. All right. So hang on. Let me stop
You
sharing the.
want to ask question?
yeah. Is it it's a confirm the total student here is at 16, right?
16. I'm not sure. I'll have to check because the insert delete still running until second week of the semester. So hopefully by next week we can have the exact figure. Okay.
Then doctor, how about
Yes.
the problem situation assessment one? Is it individual or group
The
assessment?
individual. The
Individual.
problem identification is individual. If you look at this one, let me share with you again. Hang on, yeah. Now, if you look at this one, yeah, the guidelines, actually you can work simultaneously, right? You can work simultaneously. Like problem identification. If you look at the guidelines, you can see that you can use the same material for the different assignment. Look at this one. Hang on, yeah. This problem identification. Now, see. I made some notes here. Like this is a written report that need to be presented, 4 to 5 pages. Students need to identify any problem existed in teaching and learning, needs to identify blah, 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 blah. The discussion should consider this is the first assignment, yeah, individual assignment. What are the problems or issues? Who is affected? How serious? What are the current efforts in solving the problems? Explore the constraints, challenges, and opportunities to solve and address the problem. Prepare 2 PowerPoint slides regarding A and B, right? A and B, and present. Record the presentation using MP4 format and upload the recording in the e-learning. Right? You have to record, meaning submission, written report, PowerPoint presentation, both are in PDF format, and then presentation recording. I've give some guidelines here, yeah, how to do. And then if you look at to this one, number 2, hang on, what is that? Yeah, technical report 1. This is starting from this assignment. You need to work in group. All right, I mentioned here, 3 students per group. All right, you can use 3 then. Okay, this is a group written assignment which need to be presented again. It is recommended maximum 3 students per group, right? 3 students per group. Look at number 2. Use the same procedure as in problem identification assignment. You need to identify blah, 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 and so on, right? This proposal, this is talking about proposal. The proposal should comprise of background, some analysis, the needs, propose specific project. This is what you need to work on with your group, yeah? And propose specific project, propose specific methods or design model. If you want to use the ADDIE instructional design model, so you have to explain that. The design, how the design working in this project, okay, at this like needs analysis, okay. So what you need, what needs to be done in that stage. And so you have to explain in the proposal. The proposal must also have the marketing strategy. I missed one word here. Explain how and why the project can be commercialized. So you give some sort of projection. If this product can be produced at the end, have the potential to be commercialized. In what way, right? So then you can something like projection. Prepare the PowerPoint presentation slides, and then of course to present the idea. Record the presentation, no more than 5 minutes. Don't take too long, 5 minutes presentation. The use of assignment, problem identification is useful. This is what I mean. I mean, you can make use of the first assignment, although it is a individual assignments. But when you work amongst your group member, then you can discuss how to come up with one idea for the group. Okay. Sometimes you need to compromise. Okay, my idea, your idea, your idea. So then how we can come up with one idea instead. Okay. And then 3 files to be uploaded in the e-learning, detailed report, PowerPoint presentation, the same way like the first one, in PDF format, and then presentation recording MP4 format. Okay. Would that be okay for you all? Okay. Yeah.
Doctor, I would like to ask, is it the problem identification and
Okay.
the technical report one must have related?
Not to say related. What I can say is you can make use of the first assignment, right? Because everyone in the group, like for example, you have 3 members in the group. Okay, everyone have done the problem identification activity. Okay, and the first person doing this, second this, and that. So when it comes to the technical report 1, producing a proposal, you can make use of the information here. Okay, something like to come up with one single idea, what project to be selected for the project. That's a good thing, right? Making use of the problem identification activity. So not to say must be similar, must be the same, but how you work on the a different perspective of problem identification to produce one single proposal. Right?
Okay, thank you.
Sure. All right. Anything else?
Yes, sir. I'm a new participant.
Yeah. How well?
Want to be attendant? Yes, sir. Attendant.
Yeah. How are you do?
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anything? And well, anything that you like to you ask? You check the can you access to the e-learning? Well, can you access to the e-learning? No. Or can you just write your concern in the chat room, right? Chat room, because I think your connection is not that good. So can you just write on the chat room to everyone so that we can address your concern. Okay. Right. I hope that you can access to the e-learning because we will upload every single materials, every single guidelines, whatever we have, and sample. I think Dr. Hasniza also have uploaded the sample of the previous assignments. I mean, you can make use of that samples in getting the ideas what needs to be done for your assignments. Okay.
Okay, sir.
And don't forget, after this, you need to straight away set up the meeting, the online meeting like this amongst you, and then to decide the group form to form a group, and then something like a discussion about the topics or the project that you trying to propose. Yeah. Okay, guys. Anything else?
Assalamualaikum, Doctor.
Yes, please.
Hidayah here.
Yeah.
Us, for group activity, do we have to find a partner which is still working? Still working.
Yeah. What's the problem with that? You have problem with that?
No. Because currently I'm in full-time study. So group project, do we need to find a partner that are still working in any school?
Oh, I see. Well, there are pro and cons. Yeah, if I can address that. Hey, Daya, you can mute your mic. Okay. Now, there are pro and cons when we have the online classes like this. Yeah, hopefully by next year we can start having face-to-face, physical face-to-face classroom discussion. But anyhow, it is a good thing that we have at this moment having the online classes. And like you said, some of you might now still be working at school or other places. Some of you maybe a full-timer, full-time students. But in regards to working on your assignments, I leave it to you, your creativity, how to work that out, right? Finding your ways how to work that to get the assignment done. Although some of you still working, so you need to arrange yourself, right? Manage yourself, manage your time, find the best way, best time for you to work and to discuss. Okay, like if the person is working in the morning session of schools, teaching the morning session in schools, so maybe you can discuss with him or with her how to work, all right? Not during his working hour, but maybe in the available hour that he is not working. So up to you, Hidayah. So or all of you. So you have to manage your time, how to work together. That's why I suggest three maximum. Yes, three maximum. So to minimize the problem issues, the problem issues. If you have too many in the group, so more problem will be arise. So if you have a smaller group number, like 2, 3, so I think you can minimize the problems. If you think that you want to have 2, it's fine. Okay. Faridan, you leading the session afterwards? Now, if you can lead the session to discuss the group formation, so maybe you can lead that.
Okay, sure, no problem.
If
Some of us doesn't have in the group yet.
okay, it's
WhatsApp
fine.
group.
Yeah, it's fine. But what
I
I can.
will try to give the link.
All right. Okay. Okay. So you said that one. If we think that having too many people in a group can create more problems in finding times, maybe you can cut down into 2, right? Into 2-person in group, so that you can, simplify of finding the ways.
Okay, doctor. Sure.
All right. Would that be okay, Daya? Now you really need to be creative, yeah. All right. You really need to be creative, and to in order to get the jobs done, in order to get the jobs done, at least for now. Dr. Hasniza, do you have a QR code now?
Yes.
Dr. Hasniza?
Wait, Doctor, jap.
Can you show the QR code for the attendance?
Okay.
I need to stop sharing my screen, right, Hasniza?
Okay. Never mind. I will share my screen. But let me wait a minute.
Okay. Okay. No problem.
Alright. I will share my Okay, in the chat. Now I will share the attendance list. Boleh tak?
This is
Kejap.
the WhatsApp group chat.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, can you attendance?
All right.
Okay.
Okay. 3 more.
More.
3 more.
I've used my own.
Oh, well, you have problem with that?
Yeah, I see, but I think it doesn't go.
Okay, it's fine. So at least we take notes of that. Next time, I think try to find ways how to get the connection. If you still have the problem in connecting to the class, let us know so then we can find the best way for you. Okay, well.
Okay, sir.
Okay,
So
3 more.
Awal
Who else?
Well, Awal is not, so maybe two
2 more.
more
Who's not here? Yeah, who's not here?
Moneshwari says she can scan a code.
Oh, she also cannot stand.
Mohana Sundram. Moneshwari. Okay, one more. Who else?
Okay.
Yeah. I'm using my phone, so I'm just opening my laptop to scan the QR code. Doctor.
Daya.
Ah.
Okay, right. All right then. So thank you very much for your time for the next meeting. Try to read the materials that we have shared in the e-learning. Those who still can't access to the e-learning, I would advise to talk to the office and ask them clarify with them what is really the problem is, and then if possible, ask them to enroll you to the section number 3. Section number 3. Sometimes your name is in the different section or the other section, not in the section 3. So you double check with them whether you have been registered in the right section, right? Okay, double check. But if you still have problem to access the e-learning, let us know, or in the meantime, maybe you can share with other friends, other friends that have no problem. So maybe you can assist your friends that have problem to access the e-learning. All right. And because I do understand that the main problem of online classroom is the connection, right? The connection. If the connection is good, okay, it's fine. But if the connection is not good, so sometimes you have problems in accessing all the materials.
That WhatsApp is my own recorded.
Yeah, I will upload the recorded session as well. We already have the first one, and then we will upload this one once the recorded session is ready. Okay, guys. So I leave you with that, the task to form the groups and then continue reading the materials and then start considering about what needs to be doing, and then we'll discuss that in the next meeting. Okay. In the next meeting, so we will discuss about straight away discussing about the problems. Okay, the problems and then the idea what
Dr.
we need
Zainuddin,
to do. Yes, yes.
do they need to present their problem identification or not? Or just give video?
They need, like I said, the presentation, just you recorded presentation, right? Recorded presentation.
Yes.
We don't have much time to present, and then if you present virtually like this, requires lots of data. I'm sure that is.
Yes.
So you just record, not more than 5 minutes, or right? The lesser the better.
All right.
Okay, guys. So get ready, and we'll see again in the next meeting to discuss more specific about the project. Okay. So thank you very much for your time, and Dr. Hasmiza, thanks for your time as well. And see you again. Have a nice weekend. Right. Assalamualaikum, and take care.
Salam.
Waalaikumsalam, Doctor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay.
Thank you, Prof.
Okay. So we like to form a group, as I mentioned by Dr. Zainuddin. So according our total members is around 16%, right?